Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man X. Today, now that we've gotten all the basic stuff out of the way, we're gonna be moving through these guys at a faster clip. Eagle, Octopus, and Chameleon. Now, the first thing you need to be aware of is these guys that can grab you. They are your greatest obstacle since bottomless pits are one of the few things with a reasonable chance to kill you, so you want to charge up a level 2 or 3 shot, and the moment you release them, they will explode, even though the sprite work doesn't make it look like they should be anywhere near them. Very handy that way. Anyways, joining me today is Skyzo. How you doing, buddy?
Hello everyone, I'm doing well.
Yeah. So, usually Storm Eagle would be the guy we face second, because one, Storm Eagle is kind of a pathetic boss. I actually think he's even easier than Chill Penguin, but the other thing is that the Storm Tornado is just a ludicrously powerful weapon. And yeah, I'm kind of damage boosting past these guys since I have patience problems. I don't want to jump on those one at a time. But if you're new to the game, you might want to go more carefully. But yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to showing you how busted the Storm Tornado is.
It's gonna be exciting, and I don't know if you've noticed, but look at those clouds. They look kind of wavy and weird.
You know, we are on a battleship. Oh. Okay, so this here is the Phantom Grab. The way that these work is when you collect an item from one spawn point and carry it over into another, the game gets confused and sort of turns it into something else. And in this case, what we want to do is, yeah, stand on that exact spot with X's foot just 1 pixel from the edge. We're collecting that heart tank, and we want to get just the right horizontal distance. Pause buffer, and that's one of your visual cues. And the other visual cue is when you land and you've got X's foot near that thing, and then you dash and jump at the same time, so you jump right as you collect it, and then you hold right as you're going through the audio signal, and it will turn into that big platform, and you can use it as a magic carpet. But you want to be careful, though, because if you wait too long before going right, it will scroll up off the screen, and you won't get the height you need. But if you don't wait long enough, you won't have enough vertical distance, and it will actually despawn the sub-tank since you're overloading the game's memory. It's the first step I can do plenty well with pause buffering, but the second step is something I just can't do with my current skill level. Well, not consistently, because there's no visual cue for how high to go or how low to go, since there's no clouds after a certain point. Still a neat trick, though. What did you think of it, Skyzo?
I mean, I don't see how that would be useful in a walkthrough like this, but
No, it's not useful. It's just something cool to show off. Well, if you're doing a speedrun and if you don't do it buffered, then it saves several seconds, but only a few seconds.
well, I can definitely see that, but I mean, like, it might make a casual thing, like you would never use that, but
You
it
wouldn't.
is certainly an interesting trick.
I just wanted to show it off. And yeah, that right there, you can enter the boss door the normal way, or you could take the secret way, as I showed you there. Both of them lead to the ship blowing up, but I thought it was cool how they did that. So, the thing with this boss is that, do you see that dive attack, Skyzo?
Yeah, it doesn't look very accurate.
It's not. And the thing of it is, that and one other attack where he gulps up and spits an egg at you that hatches chickens are the only attacks he has that actually damage you. That Storm Tornado he did, and the one where he flapped his wings and blew wind at you, those don't even hurt you. The only threat is if they blow you off the platform, and even without the dash boots, basically all you need to do is stand near the center of the arena, and he really can't hurt you, because the egg attack is telegraphed enough to where you can blow up the egg before it even hatches. And that dive attack is slow enough to where you just hold in a direction and you'll dodge it automatically, so he really is a chum.
That's a shame. The actual level of it, for the boss, is actually pretty cool, but the actual boss itself is just a joke, so...
Yeah. What's not a joke is our version of the Storm Tornado. It does damage every frame unless you have invincibility frames like that boss. He has about 0.15 seconds worth, so our Storm Tornado only does 7 damage to him, but we still want to use it because he can spawn one of those little guys that can home in on you. It's just I don't give them a chance to do anything.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess if you don't have... Yeah, if the enemy doesn't have iframes, you're just screwed.
Speaking of which, I'm going to show off something. So, that's what it looks like when I hold the turbo button. I just wasted my entire clip of that weapon and did only half of his HP in damage. Now, check what happens when I go at a normal pace. Exact opposite result. I used only half of my weapon gauge and took off all of his HP. That is why you want to mind your invincibility frames and why I always list them in the description for many bosses. The boss in Sting Chameleon stage is going to be especially important to track because he has even more of those.
What a weird thing.
Indeed. Oh, here's one with no invincibility frames. He had 72 before, now he has 0.
What? That's so strange. I guess if you wanted to speedrun this game, that would come in handy very often.
It would, very much so.
Yeah, it would be like, you would need to learn it to speedrun properly, I would imagine, but...
Indeed. So, my hang-up with the game, apart from all these bulky guys that are beginner unfriendly, is that the game doesn't really tell you when invincibilities are in play, except against the bosses. The sound effects imply that the enemies are being hurt, but what's actually happening is very different, kind of like with the Vile fight at the beginning. Speaking of fights, let's go over Launch Octopus. You hit him with 3 boomerang cutters and you'll lop off his arms. And after that, you've disabled every single one of his attacks except those missile attacks. So you just kinda stun-locked him as long as you can fire at a decent clip. It's kinda pathetic.
I mean, this should be the first boss that you fight. That's what I would have done if I knew it would be this easy, but... I mean, yeah, like, routes notwithstanding, of course.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that if you don't fight him with the boomerang cutter, he actually turns into a relatively harder boss, which is what I'm gonna show off next. So, and I kind of maybe hyped him up a little much in the second episode. That attack where he sends 4 homing fish, that's the only really tricky one, because you have to keep firing, you have to jump, and you have to hold forward just a little bit to destroy some of them and have the others fly over your head. It's not like he'll murder you if some of them hit you, but it's still a more involved fight than, say, Boomer, where you just clung onto the wall till he threw that boomerang. So I would still fight him after Boomer, know what I mean?
I can see that.
Plus, it's kind of tricky timing those blueberries, because the window where he's not invincible and where you can hit him is not very wide. And yeah, he can drain your health like that, but you can just mash out of it.
Huh, that's interesting.
Indeed. And now we're gonna get my favorite piece well, second favorite piece of armor in the game, the chest plate from Sting Chameleon's stage. And from then on, the orders, the efficient order and the achievement order are sort of going to converge.
Right. Well, I'll say that this game at least managed to have a decent, like, water stage, right? As opposed to one that's obnoxious, like most games.
Huh, you're right about that. It did. I didn't think about that. A shame, too, because I usually like the gimmicks they have going on. Oh, and here is what I call the Chameleon bot. This guy has an entire half a second's worth of invincibility frames, so you've got to be very slow and deliberate when bashing down his HP.
Yeah, so this would be one enemy where the tornado attack would not work on, I would imagine.
Yeah, it does like 2 or 3 HP of damage. I think just 2. Definitely not worth using.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Anyways, this thing halves your overall damage, so you combine this with the health upgrades and you've suddenly got a much easier game.
I mean, they didn't need to do this, let's be honest.
Probably not, but still looks cool.
It does. I like his, like, new suit. I like the colors.
It's called the Paladin set. Each suit of armor that he gets throughout the game has its own unique subtitle. Did you know that?
No, and even if this is mostly a palette swap, I still enjoy the aesthetic of it.
Indeed. By the way, those guys don't really have 127 HP. They were just in invincible mode as they were falling down. I just didn't bother with them, because really, let's be honest, I don't need to.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Now, the boomerang cutter is Sting Chameleon's weakness weapon, but you're still going to use a little more than you have available for him, even if you're as conservative as me, so I like using this as a grinding spot for weapon energy. All I really needed to do was just not use the boomerang cutter the whole time, but I can get kind of lazy sometimes. I think it's just easier to do that.
Right. Man, I love sections like this where you get to control something like this. Like when you, let's say you have an FPS and you get on a tank or something. I love those stages.
X4 is full of them. I think you'd love that one.
Yeah, I think it's a nice segment for a stage, like it breaks up the action.
Indeed. Alright, you ready to see Chameleon's weakness weapon in action?
Oh yeah, it's a stun lock.
Yep. The X series is full of stun locks, and I think they get progressively worse throughout the later games to the point where they spend so much time being stunned that it's actually slower than just using their regular weapon, because you actually damage them faster using the non-stun locks because their invincibility frames last so long.
This attack where he makes spikes from the ceiling actually seems pretty cheesy, to be honest, so I'm glad you were able to stunlock him.
Indeed. It's not like it does a lot of damage, but it would make no damage runs more of a hassle than they're worth.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what you really need to learn for this fight is when he goes invisible, he can either go into one of the corners of the room and do the tail swipe attack, but if he doesn't do that, you see him coming towards you, he's gonna get close to you and try to lash at you with his tongue. So that's sort of a rhythm thing where you have to wait for him to get close to you and then dash away so that you're away from him by the time his tongue rolls out. Just keep that in mind if you're doing a Buster only run, and you should be good.
Seems easy enough.
Well, it always looks easy when someone who's good at the game is playing. It always seems like when I try to do new games after watching a pro play them. I can never pull off half of what they do.
Well, I like your confidence in your abilities. I think that shows that you've played this game quite a bit.
Ever since I was a child, yeah. Anyways, this is Fiona Day Quester signing out. Join me next time to clear out the rest of the Maverick bosses, and see you then. God bless.
Alright, I'll catch you later, YouTube.
Bye!